Hello YouTube, this is Goddard Radio Moscow here again with another beer review. Now I want to go back to Belgium for this one and revisit a brewery that I've already been to before. This is the Brouwerij Van Steenberge Gulden Draak 9000 Quadruple. Now I've already done video reviews of the Gulden Draak white label and also the Pirate beer. So if you're interested in those, I'll put the links for them in the description and you can have a look at those. For those of you joining me for the first time, I usually like to take you through the history of the brewery, so I'm just going to do that now. But if you're simply interested in the tasting of this beer, then please feel free to fast forward towards the last few minutes of the video where you'll catch that. But anyway, just to take you through the history. Now, the Van Steenberge brewery, the history of it goes back to 1784, and at this particular time in the Flanders region of Belgium, which is the Dutch-speaking region incidentally, there was many home breweries which basically made beer for their own consumption due to the fact that the water, it was safer to drink the beer than it was to drink the water. The water quality was horrible in Belgium at that particular time. But the brewery is located in a small village called Ertvelde, and it was founded by Jean-Baptiste de Bruin under the name de Peer. Now, following his death, his wife Angelina Patronella Shelfo continued the brewery, and then she in turn upon her death passed it to her cousin Joseph Shelfo, and he had assisted her for many years in the brewery, and he was very familiar with the art of brewing. Then his daughter Margriet married Paul von Steenberg, who was a professor of microbiology in the Ghent Brewing School. So this is obviously where the beer takes its name from, or the brewery takes its name from. Now, Paul van Steenberg took charge of the brewery following the end of the First World War, and he changed the name of the brewery to Brewery Bios after the beer that was introduced at the same time. Now, he was very interested in politics, and he actually served as the mayor of Ertvelde and as a senator in the Belgian Parliament. And he was a real businessman, and he actually launched several other beers during his tenure in the brewery, such as the Bios Flemish Bourgogne, which is an old brown ale, and the Leutenbock, which is a lager. But he also made major investments in the brewery infrastructure, including a new brewing hall, new tanks, and he also initiated the switch from wooden barrels to glass bottles. And in truth, Paul's instinct as a businessman always outweighed his passion for brewing, and he put the brewery into a cooperation during the difficult period after the war as a means to cut costs. Now, all this time, his wife Margriet, who was actually the one who inherited the brewery from her father, she had been raising their son Joseph van Steenberge, and she saw this as a bit of a sellout, as she was the one that inherited the brewery from her father. However, the son Joseph had inherited her passion for brewing, and when his father died in 1962, Joseph took over the management of the brewery and focused particularly on the production of high fermentation beers. However, like his father before him, he was passionate about politics, and he only fully focused on the brewery at the age of 64 after his service as mayor of Ertvelde and also as a senator in the Belgian Parliament, which ended in 1978. So he followed in his father's footsteps as well. But he got rid of the malt house and the hop plantations that had been built by his grandfather Joseph Shelfo, and he decided instead that the brewery would purchase their raw materials with very strict specifications. And in 1978 the company also acquired the recipe for a beer that the Augustin friars had brewed in their Ghent monastery, and then this was fine-tuned and then released in 1982, and he also completed the range of high fermentation beers during this period. Now, upon the launch of this range of beers, there wasn't a particularly high demand for the high percentage beers. However, since 2000 there really has been a clear market for more craft beers and things like that, and there's clearly increasing demand for the speciality stuff. We're seeing it in Scotland just now with a whole host of microbreweries popping up, and Belgium's really one of the prime example companies of small scale brewing. But in 1990, Joseph's son Paul took over the brewery, and he modernised it with a new fully automated brewing hall, a computerised barrel filling installation, a water purification installation, a new bottling plant, and a steam plant that was fuelled by natural gas. And he was joined by his cousin Jeff Rosselli, and then this particular cousin expanded the company's export market, mainly working with the US, the Netherlands and Italy. But the brewery's main brands of beer production are the Gulden Draak. Obviously I'm reviewing this one now, and I've also done a review of the white labelled one, which is a triple. They also have Pirate, which I have a review up now of as well, and they also have the Augustin range, which I mentioned earlier came from the Augustin monks. Now, there actually, as I said, there's two Gulden Draak beers. Now, the name Gulden Draak actually has an interesting story behind it. The name Gulden Draak comes from the gilded dragon that's on top of the belfry in Ghent. Now, it's said that this gilded dragon first featured on the prow of the ship of the Norwegian king Sigrid Magnusson, who left on crusade from Norway in the year 1111. Now he offered the statue to the Emperor of Constantinople, which is obviously Istanbul, and this was to be put atop of the Hagia Sophia. Now a few hundred years later, the Flemish Count Baldwin IX brought the dragon to Bruges, and after the Beverhout battle in 1382, the dragon was taken by the Ghent inhabitants and placed atop of their belfry to protect the city. So as you can see, the Gulden Dragon, or Gulden Draak rather, has a very kind of interesting story behind it itself. I actually really like the design on these bottles. I'll just bring the camera up and check that you can have a little look at that. I actually really enjoy these beers. I'm pretty sure that this was the first Gulden Draak I tried, and then I went into the 6 Degrees North where my chalice is from and brought one of these to take home. So as you can see on the top, it says the Brouwerij Van Steenberge, and it's in one of the typical sort of little stumpy bottles that you find from Belgium. You'll probably recognise these. The most widely available Belgian beer in the UK is actually Duvel, which is very easy to find. Just to let you see the bottle cap there, it also has the Gulden Draak on it. But without further ado, let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting. Now this is a 10.5% quadruple, and apparently I looked up exactly what the difference between a quadruple and a triple is, so you can get a better comparison of the white label and the black label Gulden Draak here. Now apparently quadruples usually have bolder flavours than the double and triple counterparts, and usually they're sweeter with a lower bitterness. So we'll see how this turns out, but let's get this guy open and get on with the tasting here. Quite interested to try this one, since it was my first one that I got from the brewery. There's a lot of steam coming off this one already, but let's get this guy poured and see what he's like. Now already I can see that compared to the white label one, this one is quite a bit lighter, I have to say. See if I can get some head on this, give it a bit more of an aggressive pour. But already I'm seeing that this beer is quite a bit lighter than the white labelled one. The white labelled one was a nice sort of dark mahogany colour. This is a nice sort of deep amber colour, maybe just with a little, not really a red tint actually. This is definitely a kind of amber beer. I'm not sure how well you can see that on the camera there, but there's very little carbonation visible, very little bubbles in the way of it. There's a nice sort of head on this one. This one's not so much a frothy head actually, this is more of a bubbly head, I have to say. But in terms of the aroma here, it's quite sweet actually. Again, say I'm picking up, it's a lot of kind of caramelly malts in there. There's a big hint of kind of dark fruit, and there's actually a lot of breadiness too. I find the breadiness smell with these sort of beers, the high fermentation stuff, tends to come from the sort of Belgian yeast. If you're into your Belgian beers at all, you'll know exactly what I mean when I say this, the sort of Belgian yeast smells that you get out of these. I love the smell of Belgian beer. You'll never find a beer really that can beat the aroma of a Belgian beer, but that's just my opinion. Beer's subjective obviously. But this is a really nice smelling beer. I could sit and sniff this all day. This head, incidentally, I'm sure the head on the white label Gulden Draak, the darker one, actually had a bit more retention than this, but that's dissipating away now just to a thin layer of foam. I'm sorry, I'm really enjoying the aroma of this one. I could sit and sniff it all day. I'm sure this is the one I tried first that got me onto the Gulden Draak stuff. But anyway, let's get on with the tasting. Yeah, this one on the start, very, very sweet. It's actually got a bit of a kind of dried fruit taste to it, maybe some raisins, but I want to say that it's a bit lighter than that. Maybe, I'm not sure, maybe some more sort of lighter citrusy fruits, but it reminds me a lot of dried fruit, this one, I have to say, the particular fruitiness to this. But there's quite a lot of syrupy caramel in this one. It's kind of a brown sugary feel to it. And as I was mentioning to the aroma, it does have that sort of bready Belgian yeasty element to it. This is one of the things, I mean, before 6 Degrees North came to Aberdeen, I was never so much into Belgian beers, but that, to be fair, I'd never really tried them so much. It was that got me into it. I was more into my German beers, but I'm really, really starting to like Belgian beer, I have to say. But yeah, this is a very, very well balanced flavour. It has, like I say, you've got that kind of dried fruit flavour to it. It's very, very sweet, and it's mixed very, very well with the sort of caramel malty bready base to it. It's a really, really nice beer. I'd highly recommend that you give this and the White Label Gulden Draak a try. I mean, they're really, really nice beers. I can't say much more than that. I can talk about this all day. I mean, you might not like it. As I say, beer is subjective, but I really, really like these beers. But as I say, dark fruits, that nice Belgian-y, yeasty, bready base to it. Very some syrupy caramel, brown sugary flavour to it. And there's a nice gentle bitterness to it as well. What I'm getting on the aftertaste is mainly the caramel mixed with the bready, I would say. There's maybe just a hint of the fruit, but mainly the caramel and the breadiness, I have to say. In terms of the mouth, I would call this one, I would say this is very full-bodied. You do get that little burn from the alcohol. Obviously it's a 10.5% one, but I mean, a lot of the time you can drink these Belgian beers and not really realise how strong they are. You do feel the alcohol on this one, particularly when you sit for a while and not have a sip of this one. But yeah, I would say very full-bodied. The carbonation on it's kind of moderate. You do get that little feel off it on the tongue, but this is a really, really nice beer. I have to say, I really like this one, and as I said earlier, I'm very sure that this is the one I actually tried in the 6 Degrees North pub that got me onto the Gulden Draak. But yeah, I would highly recommend that you check out the Brouwerij Van Steenberge. They're probably a good one to start with, actually, if you're trying Belgian beer for the first time. Also, I would recommend that you try 6 Degrees North. I'm not sure how widely exported these ones are, but check out my reviews on them so far as well. I really enjoy the 6 Degrees North beer. Definitely, Brouwerij Van Steenberge is a very good brewery. Definitely check them out. And anyway, thanks again for watching my beer review videos. I hope it's been informative for you. If you've not subscribed already, I hope you'll consider it. And please let me know your own thoughts on this particular beer in the comments section. And please also like, subscribe and share the videos. I'm always eager to speak to a bigger audience and stuff like that, which is always cool. But anyway, thanks again for watching, and I shall catch you again soon. You've been watching Goddard Radio Moscow. Cheers.